is. Welcome to AutoHound, downstairs in my man cave. It's a little bit easier to film down here. I can stand as opposed to be sitting at a table all day long. So, I really wanted to share my first time with everybody. First time driving a Porsche. You can see right here, I got one of the 70th anniversary Porsche flags. Oh, that dropped. So, 70th anniversary Porsche flag. I went to an event a couple of years ago with my wife. We took our Boxster out there. Had a wonderful time. But here's the cool part. In 1988, I was in community college, trying to get my associate's degree. Doing fairly well in school. I was working at a job at Budget Rent-A-Car. And I had never driven anything better than a Lincoln Town Car. And I know that sounds weird, but hear me out. So, in 1988, I got this job at Budget Rent-A-Car, and I was an automotive transporter. What that meant is I would go from one location to another location, and I would move their cars to and from. And we get paid $5 a ride to take the car from Logan Airport to downtown Boston, which is about 7 minutes away. So every day we do anywhere between 15 to 20 trips. It was a decent living, especially for a college person who had no money. I'd never driven anything really expensive in my entire life, and I was used to driving all these brand new cars. Everything from the lowly Ford Tempo, Ford Aspire, or actually I think they would call it Fiesta back then. I could be wrong. And what's really cool is I started to drive town cars. They had SUVs that we could drive, but they really weren't called SUVs then. They were just a Ford Explorer. Lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of minivans, 15 passenger vans, 18-foot trucks, 24-foot trucks, you know, the actual big budget renter trucks that you see driving around back and forth. I used to drive those. So, Budget Rent-A-Car, in their infinite wisdom, decided to start an exotic rental fleet. And in that exotic rental fleet, they had a few cars. A Mercedes 560, the Mercedes SEL 420, which is this big massive thing. We had a couple of BMWs, and we had two Porsches. We had a Porsche 928 and a Porsche 911. Now, anybody that knows anything about me knew I've loved the Porsche 911 since 1980, when my friend Gary Howland, may he rest in peace, actually showed me what a 911 was. Drove by it one day. It was green, and the black lettering across the bottom said Carrera. It was like this beautiful minty green, very, very nice car. And from that day on, I'm like, oh, someday I'm going to own one of those. I'm going to own one of those. I'm really excited about it. And so my first time comes in 1988. My boss tells me, Eric, I need you to take one of the Porsches downtown Boston. And I thought he was joking with me. He goes, no, go take the car. It has to go to downtown Boston. It's going to be meeting with one of our renters in about an hour and a half. Make sure it's filled up. Make sure it's clean. Okay, no problem. So I go over to this beautiful white on the inside, blue interior with a blue top convertible. Absolutely gorgeous day. It's a Saturday morning around 9 o'clock. I see this beautiful car. I get in the car. It's already full of gas. It's spotless inside because the guys in the detail area cleaned it up nice. And I don't know if you remember what I said earlier. It usually takes about 7 to 12 minutes to get in town. For some reason, I'm not sure why, it took me 40 minutes to get to Boston. It could have been the fact that I did 140 miles an hour through the tunnel, jumping onto Route 128, back up, jumping onto Route I-93. Did I say 140? I meant 40. 40 miles an hour. I'd never go 140. So I did 40 miles an hour up Route 93 to this big rotary up at the top. You know, rotary's a roundabout for those of you who live overseas. And I zipped around the roundabout, or rotary, and I came back down into Boston. Came down onto what's this thing called Storrow Drive, which is where the Esplanade is. in Boston. I was doing about 75, 80 miles an hour. Did I say that again? I keep saying I'm going too fast. I don't understand that. That's just not like me. I don't speed. Ever. Um, so what wound up happening is I get to Park Street, which is where we were renting the Porsche from. And the car went from a full tank to 3/4 of a tank. I bring it downstairs into the little detail area. They cleaned it up. Why is it only a 3/4 of a tank? You just came from downtown. I don't know. I mean, that's what I left with it, and even though it said full. And the manager there gave me a wink, wink, nudge, nudge, and whatever. So I went on my way. A couple of days later, I get a phone call from my boss and said, hey, come into the office. And I think I'm really in trouble. He's like, would you mind going back to Boston again? Take that Mercury Topaz, I believe it was, and go pick up the Porsche because we have somebody that needs to rent it here. But don't take 40 minutes this time. I said, oh, sure, no problem, Terry. So I get in the car, I go to Boston, I pick up the 911, and I drive straight from Boston right back to the airport. That car was absolutely my dream to drive. So that was my first time. Now, since then, I've been very fortunate, and I've gotten to, number one, drive many, many Porsches. My friend Alan owned an exotic car rental company, and he let me drive all of his cars, for everything from Mercedes, Ferrari, Jaguar, every possible car that a poor kid could just go out and buy. But I couldn't. So what did I do? I used his cars, and he was really nice about it. He let me have the cars for weekends, days on end sometimes, but when he needed to rent it, it was available to him. And I always kept them in pristine order and clean, with the exception of one day. He loaned me his Porsche 944 Turbo. I went on a date with it. Date went terrible. We went to a concert, drove home, no big deal. Wound up getting home to my house, and I inadvertently scratched the rim on the car. A rim on a Porsche 944 Turbo is $1,500 back in 1989. I can't even imagine what it would be today. So, turn the car over to my friend Alan. There's a dent in the rim, and I keep getting teased about that to this very day, which is fine because, you know what, we're still friends after 30 years. He actually let me film this upcoming Friday's episode at his house, which is an amazing episode. I can't wait for you all to see that. But the ultimate moment for me in 1993 was that I got to see the Porsche 959. This is the car of my dreams. People ask me, Eric, what would you do if you won the lottery? Would you buy a 911? Nope. I'd buy a 959. I'd call Canepa, and I'd have them do a custom-made 959 for me in arena red with a black interior with arena red piping, and the car would just be stunning, and I would just leave it in the garage and drive it to every single Cars and Coffee that I could possibly think of, and I'd create my own Cars and Coffee if I had to, just to show the damn thing off. It is, to me, the ultimate car. So, for my 50th birthday, my friend Alan calls me again. He says, hey, by the way, what are you doing for your birthday? And I said, well, you know, my wife is celebrating, whatever. He goes, why don't you come with me to Amelia Island? We're going to the Amelia Island Concours d'Elegance. So we go to the concourse, and we're having a great time, and he enrolls me in the Porsche driving experience where I get to drive 911s and the new Boxster, not the Cayman, but the Boxster with the PDK transmission. So this might have been a little bit longer than that. And next thing I know, we go to Brumos Porsche. And Brumos opens up their showroom as their museum once a year, and that's at this event. I was very fortunate to get to tour the Brumos facility, but I was supremely disappointed that the 959 that I was dying to see in person, which I've never seen in person, wasn't there. I was devastated. I loved all the 962s and every other single Porsche iteration that they had. They even had one of the original Porsche Boxsters in the silver with the red interior color. I thought it was amazing. Then we got back to the hotel. The next day we actually went to the concourse. and I go over to the Porsche 50th anniversary, and it's kind of weird that it's 50 and 70. Well, it's 50 years from the 911, which, if you could imagine, it's fairly impressive. So I wind up going onto the golf course, and they're driving all the cars on, and what do my eyes see is the 959 driving up the 17th fairway at about 5 miles an hour. And in that moment, if you've never seen a grown man cry, that was when I cried. It was amazing to me. I know it sounds quirky and weird and whatnot. I absolutely loved the car. So the gentleman who was driving it backed the car in, and I walked up and said, "Wow, this is an amazing car. I'd love to sit in it. I wish you'd let me." And he goes, "Yeah, sure, no problem. Here's the keys." Tosses me the keys. Good, start it up. You have to start the car up. Now, no, I did not drive it, but I got to sit in a 959. In the pictures, you'll see I'm got this big goofy smile on my face because I got to sit in a 959. So anybody out there that tells you that you're a poor, starving college student, that you don't have what it takes to make it in the world, just follow your dreams and follow your passion. Now, I haven't achieved the 959 yet, probably never will, but I'm going to keep following the dream, and hopefully someday I'll get to drive one. Hopefully someday I'll get to own one. Hopefully someday I'll get to share the story with you. So this is Eric the Auto Hound. I appreciate it. Please like, subscribe, comment below. I'm now on TikTok and Instagram, which sounds like a 10-year-old thing, but that's what I'm doing. So please follow all those pages. It really means a lot. I appreciate it. Look forward to talking to you in the next episode. Thanks for watching Auto Hound.